Hi, good evening. Welcome to the biggest Barmy Army podcast ever. Fingers crossed this all goes well. To start with, I'm joined by Shane, Nat, and Marc. Nat, how you doing?
I'm good, Deb. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm slightly anxious about this one tonight, so let's hope everything goes okay. Shane, how are you doing?
Very well, very well. How about you?
Ask me that in an hour and I'll tell you. Marc,
Yes,
nice to see you there, Marc. How you doing?
it's fine. It's lonely up here. It's weird. It's weird.
Lonely
You're
down
downstairs.
here as well.
Well,
Yeah.
there we have it.
Yeah. Good evening, Iain. The plan for this evening is that some of the familiar faces that we've had throughout the last 41 podcasts are going to come along. They're going to share their favourite moments of the season so far, because it's not been the best of years. It has so far been the best of seasons. So we wanted to celebrate it. We want to have 2020 go out on something of a high. Good evening, John. Good evening, Fiona. So we're going to have a bit of a carousel tonight. So people are going to come in, people are going to go, and hopefully I can work all the tech going on. Good evening, Marty. Now, we're going to start with you. Simple question. Good evening, Torrin. Best moments of the season so far?
It's hard. I don't know. For me, I'd probably go the derby. Just because I think it's the way we came back in it, the way that, I think last season definitely would have lost that. Like, there's no doubt about it, So I think it's just the way that mentality has changed to actually fight back. And really, at the end, we could have won it. And potentially, if you think about it, we should have won it. And we've gone from looking at a game that we're probably going to get battered into a game that we're thinking, was that drop points? And I just think that's the difference in it. And I think at the end, she sort of said, it was my fault, I've changed it. That accountability is what I love to see. And Tobin's come out as a little video and she goes, it's my responsibility to get the team back into it. And I love that mindset change kind of thing. I think it's always been there, but I love it now to see it even more.
Yeah, I saw that from Tobin, where she said she sees it as her responsibility and she takes it upon herself. I think I asked the question last week in the podcast, whereby without the nature of her goal, would we have got back into that? That's a different conversation. Very quick few good evenings. Natasha, hi. Zoe, Namrata, John Neville. Fiona's just got a question for you, Marc. I don't know if you can see any comments there. Do we need to start?
Let me out.
No, he's very, very easily, very well looked after. So you're going with the derby now. Okay. Shane.
For me, it's got to be the Arsenal game. Just to beat them for a start, and then, if I remember rightly, that win put us at the top of the league. I can't even remember if it was just for a temporary amount of time or anything like that. But obviously, we're top now, which is brilliant going into the new year. I think we said at the time as well in that game there was a lot of flashbacks to the one from last season. It was, very not sluggish, but it was a battle. The whole game was a battle. We were brilliant defensively, and last season Arsenal get the goal at the end, and we reversed the role this season. We got that late goal. We went on and won it, and it was just such a brilliant feeling to have done that and finally got that win against the big three as they were known.
Yeah, I think psychologically we've exercised a few. Well, starting off against Chelsea, we got a goal. That was the first thing. Then we went on to actually take a point. The Arsenal game, Shane, were you disappointed with it? I know I don't want to focus too much on the opposition. Were you disappointed in Arsenal
then? A little bit, but not overall because we won. In some respects, I don't give a damn what the opposition do as long as we're the ones that are winning the game after 90 minutes. So, I would be disappointed if Arsenal don't take points off the others for us as well and help us along a bit in the new year. But against us, they can be as rubbish as they want to be.
Yeah, I think we all cheered their goal against Arsenal. I know, their goal against Chelsea. Sorry. In my head, I was saying Chelsea. I said something else. So yeah, a lot of people are saying that one. John Fry about the goal against Arsenal, Tuna's goal against Arsenal. That's coming up as a bit of a common favourite. Good evening, Jake, saying that this should be a great one. Let's hoping for that. Yeah, actually, this is something we didn't realise. Mary saved us at one point. Needs to have a little bit of luck, and that kept the game at 0-0. So yeah, I think on the balance of play, we were the better team. Fair to say, Shane?
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
I'm actually struggling to think, and maybe if any of you can think of it here, any game where we've been outplayed for the 90 minutes. Even against Chelsea, as much as they were the better team in the first half, we had a real spell of pressure in the second half. I don't think we've been outplayed. I think against Arsenal last year, gone now.
For me as well, I mean, I know you're sort of saying we haven't been outplayed, and Shane said about, and you sort of said it, didn't you? I think we were so better than Arsenal. I'm surprised we only scored one. That's how much, if anything, you're a bit annoyed at just the 1-0.
Yeah, completely. And that's going to be something that we hope doesn't come back to bite us. And that fact that we only scored the one goal. Marc,
Yes.
favourite moment of the season so far?
I agree with Nat and Shane in the games that they've chosen, but for me, Chelsea. Because we could have been out of sight in that game by half time. And when we came, the game was a game of two different halves. The first half was we were a bit poor. And then the second half, Jackie came on, and that game changed. And it's one of my favourite games for this season for two reasons. One, that's the Jackie Groner I think we all wanted to see last season, and we're seeing it now. But also for the celebration that in the people in the watch along, it was pure emotion. And Chelsea are one of those teams where last season we beat City. We beat them in the cup. They beat us in the league. Chelsea, Arsenal, we were pretty close to getting a draw if it wasn't for a last-minute goal at LSV. But Chelsea is the one team that have beat us constantly, and they supposedly have the best squad. And we went out with not even a full bench in that game. And for me, it showed the mentality you need sometimes to win games. And for me, one of the biggest things of last season was there was a lot of people on social media who were saying they can't win the big games. They haven't got it mentally to beat the big teams. That Chelsea game proved them all wrong, that they could soak up all that pressure against Chelsea, not only soak it up, and then go on and do what, in my opinion, a United team is best at on the counter-attack and score a brilliant goal.
The point you made there about the celebration, I genuinely don't think, and Shane will bear me out on this. Obviously, Marc, you've been in the watch-alongs with me. Nat, you've been in and out from the watch-along. I don't think I've celebrated a goal as much as that. Now, Shane will obviously tell you what my reaction was during the fan cams, but I think the emotion of that moment. And here's the other thing. Good evening, Vincent. You talk about the mentality. We've been speaking a lot recently about the mentality that the Americans have brought. Yeah. That was before they really got going. So, yes, we can look at the Americans and bringing. Tobin said in the dressing room after the Arsenal game when the girls were celebrating, this means nothing if we don't go and do it against City. So we knew straight away that's what we want in this team, and yet that wasn't there for that Chelsea game. It hadn't been from them; it was from somebody else.
When you look at the start this season compared to the start last season, last season we started off at City away, Arsenal at home, we then had Liverpool, and most people were talking, well, if we get 4 points or even 2 points from those first three games last season, we would have done well. This season, we start against Chelsea, and we take, in my opinion, by the end of that game, a well-deserved point, and that just starts us off on the run that we are currently on. Things could be completely different if that game had gone the way the first half kind of showed it was going. And sometimes
put the chances away.
Yeah, sometimes you need that. You know, Sir Alex always used to say it. Sometimes you need to play badly and win games, or even get a point out of them to move on to the next place.
It's winning ugly. I think Marty had put that comment on me. It's gone off my screen. Namrata's saying about Jackie showing a lot more leadership. You talked about that. Nat, your clock's ticking. So before I kick you out and Fiona joins us, hopefully she's in there. Anything you want to add before we keep our fingers crossed that this is going to work?
No, just, keep supporting. I think a lot of people have seen like little comments. Oh, United we're playing at home these games, and now they've got these away games to come. And I think that we've seen with the Premier League, for me, there's no away or home or this. Obviously, we love LSV. We love playing there. It's our stadium. The flags are there, so it makes it a lot better. But for me, without the fans there anyway, it doesn't make a difference. So, I think we can go to these grounds, Kings Meadow, Boreham Wood, City's ground is good as well. And yeah, it'll be blue or whatever. But I think they too play on good pitches. Maybe not as good as ours, but they play on good pitches. So I think, we'll be used to it. And I just think we just need to carry on believing, because I think we've gone from that game where, everyone celebrated so wildly. I went outside, I was in a bar, and I was like, yeah, come on. And I was singing outside, and, we think it's the very, very first one. And I think...
Yeah, you got excited now.
Yeah, and I think then we had the City game, and even though I was happy, it was like, oh, really? We should have got 3 points. Why didn't we get the 3 points? And that's what I was thinking. And well, why didn't we? If this, if that, this one should have gone in. And it's just, just keep going. Everyone's underestimating us, and that's how we like it.
Yeah. Long may they do that, and long may we keep putting the points on the board. Nat, we're going to say thank you very much. And I'm going to wish you a very early happy birthday.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good podcast.
See you, Nat. Have a good one.
See you, Nat. Have a good one.
Karen, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, if Nat can take herself out of that. Let's just see. Right. And, oh, come on, be seamless. Hey!
Hi, guys.
Oh, wow. It's like a professional thing, this.
I actually feel like I've peaked, so I need to go and have a lie down now.
Do you want to swap places then? Should I come down and you go?
Yeah, if you just want to swap over. Fiona, good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I've had that the first transition moves worked well. So yeah, you see, Namrata's loving it. Thank you very much. Good evening, Jonathan. Lots and lots of Jonathans, whatever. Jonathan
11 is in the house.
Hang on. No, hang on, not that one. Sorry, it's jumped. I'm not a tech genius because you're a game changer, Fiona. And thank you very much, Tara. I didn't wish to ignore yours. Yeah. It's just like watching Sky, apparently. High production values on the Barmy podcast. Marc, you might want this comment.
Go on. Yeah. Yeah. I'll sort it out before.
I've got the bank account, Deb. Come and see me and we'll sort it.
Fiona.
Sorry, my headphones aren't working.
It's fine. These are recorded, so we'll just play it back. It's fine. About 14 minutes in. I'll make a note of that. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, John. Yeah, no problem. Fiona, you going to repeat anything that's already been said, or have you got a different favourite moment of the season so far?
No, it has to be for me the Chelsea. There isn't anything else really to say.
That's my pay rise, is it? Yeah. You were on our watch along, Fiona. Would you agree, though, in some ways that was
never.
Fiona, would you agree with what I said?
Green screen that.
You know where everything is, don't you? That's the joy of that. That's the best celebration, other than Kirsty Hansen's equaliser, maybe. But that's one of the best celebrations we've had all season.
Definitely, because when we go 1-0 down, we don't tend to come back for the win, particularly against a big team. We getting that goal to get the draw, that's a big moment for the team. And yeah, I think this year we're seeing a lot more passionate celebrations overall. Because we're just on a high now. We just, keeping it up at that level.
Is there an expectation now, do you think? Is that why it's a different celebration? Because there's almost an expectation, whereas that Chelsea game was still a surprise.
Yeah, that's why it's the best for me, that Chelsea, that goal against Chelsea, because it was a surprise. That's why for me is that it was a great moment. But now, we're on a roll. We have that expectation of the team. But we're just happy when they deliver that and meet those expectations. So, it's not putting pressure on the players or anything like that. It's just once your team's playing well, you see it with the men, when you're playing well, you just want to keep that high going for as long as you can. And that's what we're doing with the women.
Momentum. We've talked about momentum, especially with the international breaks. I've got to say, Shane.
Oh, Barry.
I mean, some of this.
Slanderous.
What you need to do, Shane, is just put all your United shirts behind you and no field anything.
When Marc was trying to decide where to sit for this, I did actually suggest he went into the museum, which is also known as a spare room, but Marc has taken it over. So, yeah, he didn't know.
Sitting closer like that.
Uncle Marc.
Yeah.
Marc, you'd be gutted to know that actually we're going to kick you out because the songmeister himself is coming in. Anything you want to add before we bring Andy in?
No, I just really want to say thank you to everyone who has been involved in these podcasts for the last 40-odd weeks. It started off just trying to get us through the pandemic at the very beginning, and it's actually turned into something else. And without the guys in the comments, John Fry, who's in every single week, Namrata as well, without those guys, it's just really us sitting in the room talking about football. So I want to thank everyone who has come into this each and every week, and really what it is, it's just people who love talking about Manchester United and Manchester United women. So I want to wish you all a happy new year, and maybe next year in 2021 we'll actually be able to go to a thing called a football match. Who knows?
Marc, Namrata's seen the truth about you. He is, actually.
I am.
Jonathan makes this point.
Yeah.
This is exactly why we started up the podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to 3 other members of our committee now. And I think the thing I want to say, John Fry says it well, you kept me saying, we're not a fan channel. We're not here to make media careers. It would actually be a damn sight easier probably if I step back from these before work gets in the way. This is us doing something for you guys. And we never anticipated we'd be running it this long. We hoped the world would be in a much better place. Now, obviously, today we feel like we've gone backwards a bit, but we've also gone forwards because there's good news about vaccines. So we are hopeful. We are hopeful that at some stage we might get to retire the podcast because we'll actually be at games. But absolutely, Marc said it. We've been doing these for you guys. And Namrata, I know I spoke to you. We had a quick chat on Twitter because time zone wise, this doesn't work out for you really well. So that makes me really appreciate you coming on for these. And every week when I see the new names, the same names, that's what this is all about. So absolutely, Marc, thank you very much. Go on then. You can have peace and quiet on your own then.
All right, see you guys.
And coming in now, Andy. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm not going to throw the question back at you 3 because I've just heard you answer it about 4 times already, with everybody being polite and saying, "No, I knew, yeah."
Yeah.
So I'm not being rude. I've just heard it already.
Absolutely fine. But we'll just keep the conversation flowing. Andy, best moments of the season so far?
This is going to sound like it's been scripted after the comments you've just been saying to each other, but it might sound like a cop out as well. But it's this. It's great watching your team win, but it's even better when you're watching them win with a community that you can share it with. And through years of watching the men's team when there was no women's team, that was always automatic. Even if you went on your own, there was somebody there that you saw every week. You got used to it. There's always somebody talking about United. Yeah. And now there's people talking about United women, and that community, that sense of belonging to a fan base makes the victories even more enjoyable.
I think Nat's always said it's a community. And I think for me, what I've noticed through the watch-alongs, the podcasts, the Sunday socials as well, which people are always welcome to join in with, that it's not just a community, it's almost like a family again. And those relationships have deepened. We've got to know people in ways we wouldn't normally have done if we'd just seen them at the games, but really missing those conversations with people, really missing seeing people. And this has just been a way to do that. And I think one of the joys for me tonight, this was Marc's idea a few weeks ago. He said, it'd be great. Last one of the year. Let's just get everybody on. Let's just get everyone to throw their favourite moments. Let's just keep it rolling. And I actually thought, what a great opportunity to just see so many of the faces that I've been able to see over throughout the last few months, but actually I've really missed as well. So yeah, I completely get that. I'm just going to just tell Marc he's got a bit of competition. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jonathan's agreeing with you there, Andy. Torrent, absolutely as well. She just said that. Norwegian Barmy Army agrees with Andy. Andy, you've got a history of following the men's team, and I've always meant to ask you this on the podcasts that you've done with us. What do you find different about following the women's team?
At the beginning, it was just turn up, sit down, watch the game, wonder if anybody would sing, and then go home. And then that came, people found each other, and that made it gave it the elements of following the men's team. But I think the difference is we all want the women's game to grow. We want the girls on the pitch to make a good living out of it, to hit the heights that the men hit. But while it's as it is, it feels real. Sometimes I remember you'd sit in Old Trafford, and even though you're at the game, it feels like you're watching on a screen. Everything's shiny and sparkling, even at the game. It might as well be on TV sometimes. But at the women's games, you hear the kick of the ball. You hear the girls shouting to each other. It's real football grounds. It's not the luxury grounds that we're used to at United and Arsenal and such. It's real football. They're playing for their love of the game. They're not going to play for 10 years and then retire and do what they want for the rest of their lives. They love what they're doing. They've fought to be able to play, never mind to be able to play at professional level. And it's great to see that. And it's great for us to not have to apply for tickets for a start, to know that you can go. But yeah, it's just real. It feels grassroots, but even though it's the top level of women's football.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in. There's a comment here from Karen. I wanted to catch it before it scrolled off my screen. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to you for joining us, because I know we obviously, Marty says the same. We did get, and understandably, we've had a lot more American followers recently. Can't imagine why, but we really value everybody coming in and just being a part of something. But yeah, people, genuineness, accessibility, back to basics. I know that's something I talked to Marc about at the beginning, really. Women's games growing, in our case, growing the fans. Yeah, absolutely. Namrata just goes back and names her favourite moment. Not the best moment, sorry, but acknowledging Honor's debut against Chelsea was a standout. everything we wanted from a fullback, and she was more. And I think for those of us who were at the Etihad at the beginning of last season, we saw Lotta have a bit of a nightmare in that first half, and really took her a long time to recover and get back on the pitch. Honor just hit the ground running. So definitely, I think that Namrata completely. What's Jake saying here? Something's going to grow quickly. Yeah, so happy we've been able to experience matches have had lower tendencies. That's going to change very quickly. Jake, the day they stopped us going to Southport was the day things went wrong. Hello, Lutz. Yeah, a lot of people just agreeing with you, and just that atmosphere and that sense of being part of it. Look, I have these are my timings. And for anybody who knows me, I've got a background in live production. So this is my biggest nightmare, but also my absolute dream tonight. So 25 past. Shane, anything you want to say before I kick you out, other than Jake's just saying, Southport, I miss it. Don't we all? Shane, final words.
We Southport and beating Everton 3-0. Those were the days, weren't they? No, yeah, I think just echo what Marc said when he left. Thanks to everyone who got involved in, podcasts, in the comments, or joining on video, joining us on watch-alongs, coming on Sunday socials. I think to add to that as well, though, I want to thank you and Marc, because the pair of you have hosted these podcasts for 41 weeks now. So it's been a tough slog, especially at the beginning. I know when there was a lack of content, shall we say, until Fiona started doing her research and dropping little hints in comments and stuff while we were live. So, but yeah, thank you to you guys for doing it.
One question for you, Shane, and it's a challenge before you go. We did a quiz. I don't know if anybody watched it, but one of the questions was, name our 12 goals. Who scored the 12 goals against Villa? There were then bonus points if you could name the order. Go.
Oh, crikey. What was it then? Lauren, Jess, Katie. I'm going to struggle now. Jess. That was 6.5 time. And then this is where I get blank on it. I think Jess scored again. Hanson, Jess, Molly and Tooney. I don't think that's right.
To be honest with you, Shane, you could have named anybody and none of them are going to tell you you're wrong. But thank you. We appreciate the effort.
I think I've still got my bit of paper I writ it down on before.
Well, everybody's telling you to go and tidy your room. So if you can find it.
I'm going to go get my feather duster and shoot off now.
Shane, thank you very much for joining us. Cheers. I'll let you kick yourself out. And then hopefully, we're on a slight delay. We're just going to have a change of pace here because Kat's coming in slightly early because the computer. Kat, I want to say a massive hello and also an even bigger thank you because I've been trying to get you to come on to these things for a while. Because I really, for a start, miss seeing you at games, but value your input as a United fan. So first of all, how are you doing?
I'm well and feeling no pressure after that introduction.
You know what, Kat? Favourite moments of the season? Go.
Well, can I pick every single second half of every match? I think I'm going to be a bit boring here and repeat one that's already gone because I think, to be honest, I think it's a City match for me. I think Fiona and Marc quite rightly mentioned Chelsea setting out the stall for the season. There was a definite change in sort of attitude I felt with that. And Shane obviously mentioned the Arsenal match. And I think taking points, all 3 points was really important. But for me, the match against City, the fact that it went so wrong in the first half, and for them to come back, and I think you mentioned before about Tobin's comments about if we don't get anything against City, the win against Arsenal means nothing. And it's the changing character, I think. It really demonstrated the fact that they weren't going to give up. I think it's a sort of match that in a previous season we might have seen them kind of fall away and their heads drop. So even though it seems an odd thing to say a draw against City when we've actually beaten them before in the past, I think it's just the way that game went, the way they turned it round. I mean, obviously Tobin's goal was just, I've got no words for it. It was just beautiful. But then to go and get that equaliser at the end, and actually, I mean, I might be putting it out there, but they, I think they were actually a bit unlucky not to have got the winner at the end there. I mean, City might feel a bit hard done by, but that's not my problem.
Well, I think Nat said at the beginning, actually, that was a game that we felt we should have then gone on to win. And certainly Lucy's had a chance towards the end. On the balance of play, yeah, we were the team that were more likely to win it, more likely to score again at 2-2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I won't come away feeling bad about not winning just purely because of how things looked at half time. But yeah, I'll take that point, and I'll take the demonstration of the Nat disagrees. Obviously, we should have won that. I wouldn't ever say otherwise. But yeah, for me, it was that. But I just wanted to make the point that yes, I think the Americans coming in had probably helped bring that attitude to it. But actually, a shout out to a lot of our big performers this season are actually from the original championship team. So like Tooney's having a great season. Leah, we've got Jess has obviously been a bit injured, but she's had the games that she's played. I thought she's played well and handsome. I think these are all players that were from the original championship team, and they're doing the business, I think.
That's a really valid point, actually. And I know that Amy T's getting lots of love as well at the moment. We've got our player of the season so far polls going on Twitter. And actually, when you mention that, that's something I'd completely missed, that a lot of our top performers, Leah, Amy T, Kirsty Hansen, I'm going to miss more players than I name here. Actually, they are from that very beginning. And yeah, Namrata the Turners, Amy Turner's getting love here. Absolutely. Great point, actually, Kat. Completely missed that one. Thank you. Andy, did you want to comment on something there?
Yeah, with Kat bringing up not just the originals, but specifically mentioning Ella Toon. And it reminded me last week we had the conversation about the strength and depth of our midfield.
Yeah.
And then realised after the pod that we didn't mention Ella Toon once. But she's young, she's local, and she's flying. She's doing the business. Captain Katie's not getting in the team all that much, but Ella Toon has made herself a mainstay and is running the show.
As far as I'm concerned, sorry, Deb. As far as I'm concerned, the only negative to that point is I cannot pick my fancy startup, my lineup league every week very easily. It's a nice problem to have.
We've talked that I think last year, at times we knew Casey's 11. Lineup league was almost quite dull, and we were trying to spice it up ourselves. We can't pick the team at the moment. Fiona, I'm trying to stick to times. So anything you want to add before I say thank you very much, cheerio, that kind of thing?
I'll just say to people, again, thanks for getting involved in the comments, because it's be quite awkward on these if we didn't have some comments to bounce back off of. But I also want to say it's a really exciting season. It's not a normal season, but it looks very exciting with the players we've got in, whether that only be for a season or for however long, with how the team's playing. So I say to people, get involved, can watch these podcasts back, get involved in the watch alongs whilst we have them, those kind of things. Yeah, it's very exciting.
And on a personal level, I just want to say a very big thank you to Fiona for sticking it out with me doing the podcast when there was nothing to talk about. So thank you very much, and all the very best for the new year. We'll catch up with you soon. I'll let you take yourself out, and hopefully Zoe should be ready to come on in. All right, cheers,
Thanks,
Fiona.
guys.
So do it that way. Zoe, good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. How are you all?
We're there. We're getting there. We're sticking-ish to plan. So we're going okay. Dead simple question. Favourite moment of the season so far? And you may well choose to mention something around the Arsenal, Chelsea or City game, which would be rare.
Well, I'm actually going to go different and say last game. And the reason for that is I felt that there was a shift at half time and I think I actually said this to you, Debs, at the time. In the Reading game, we didn't dominate, but we were on top, and we did the classic time wasting. I think there's a video of Casey telling Tobin to not get the ball so fast, slow down a little bit. And then in the Bristol game, we were really dominating, so you can understand them kind of pushing on. But at the same time, I feel like something was probably said at half time, sort of like, get our goal difference up. We could actually, really challenge for the title. Yeah, we're on top at the moment, but everyone's saying it's too early to think about that. And let's try and focus on maybe top 3 or something. I just felt in that game there was an intensity and a shift towards thinking about that goal difference with Chelsea, and they went on and they they really got that up, and they were eager to to keep on playing. Really, they didn't do any time wasting or anything, and I don't know, I just felt that shift within them, and it just really made me smile.
I had a think about that game because we all looked at that Bristol game as, for a start, let's not do what happened last season. But also, yes, let's get some goals and let's show what we're capable of. But, and I hate to sound negative, without the last 2 goals, which came very late, that result doesn't look as great as it could have been. Would we have still been happy with 4-1? Yes, it's 3 points, it's a win, it's plus 3 goal on the goal difference, but it's not 6-1. It's not the hammering that we wanted.
Yeah, I don't think we would have been as happy. And even, Casey came out at the end of the game and said that she wasn't happy that we didn't keep a clean sheet. And I don't blame her for that. Although I did think, early on in that game, I think they had the first chance, and it was sort of 1-on-1, and they put it wide, and I always had this feeling that we were going to let what happened last year happen again, and I never believed that we'd keep a clean sheet, if I'm honest. So that didn't bother me too much. And I felt like we didn't keep a clean sheet because we were pressing so high up the pitch, and they kind of got us on the counter with that goal that they got. But as you say, I don't think we would have been happy with 4-1. I don't think Casey wasn't happy anyway. With 6-1, she'd have been fine with 6-0, but not that getting that goal. So yeah, I agree. I don't think we would have been happy with 4-1. And we're in a much better position, because I do think those places at the top will come down to, or definitely could come down to, goal difference.
And Shane picks up the point that next month is massive. First 2 games, Everton away, Chelsea away. Absolutely massive if we can get something from those 2 games. Definitely want to be getting something from that Chelsea game. Other people saying we've got City in February as well. Marty saying we need to grab every point before we come up against Chelsea again. Yeah, so that's just the 1 game against Everton coming up, and a bit of edge there. Andy, I'm afraid your shift has come to an end, although that might be a relief for you. Slightly less festive than last week, I've noticed behind you. Zoe's taken the festive cheer from you this week, but anything you want to add before we say au revoir?
You mentioned before about how it seems that bit more exciting now. I think that's because in the first season, we expected to win. When you expect, it's not exciting. It's just normal until you don't win, and then it's disappointing. Last season, we didn't really get in the swing of it because of the short season. So we didn't really get to see what we thought we might be capable of. Now we're being teased with this top of the table, real potential to go on and have a title push, which you might say is overachieving at this point. And it's seeing what's there and what's in reach, and it's the hope to get it that makes it more exciting. So every goal matters that bit more, every point matters that bit more, and I think that's the excitement this season, and we're pretty blessed to be experiencing it so early, and it's great to be involved in and watching along.
And let's hope that at some point, Andy, we get back into games and we get to go and watch them play live. Andy, just want to wish you and your family all the very best for the new year. Hopefully, we get to see you in the ground again soon, and hopefully we can be singing some of your songs, and you can be putting words to tunes that Nat dreams up, and yeah, we'll go from there.
I'll start getting creative again, and maybe pretty soon we're ready for the one about it's our time now. You forgot it, haven't you? I'll remind you.
You have to remind me. Sorry, I'm not even going to look at you blankly. You know full well you can still go through me. Yes, do that. Andy, thank you very much. I'll let you kick yourself out because taking your place soon.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Cheers, Andy. Take care. All the best to you. Good evening, Jake. Jake, I'm just going to go through a couple of comments before we touch base with you. Fiona saying we can't relax after the Chelsea game, though, because we then got Birmingham at home. Marc says the same. Concentrate on us, the rest will take care of itself. Yeah. Sorry, the comments are moving quickly. Just hope we don't look back on the end of the season opportunity missed. Absolutely. And to announce your arrival, Mr. Southport himself. Jake, how are you doing?
One of my many nicknames that have come around this year, you could say. Yeah, I'm all right.
It's far from the worst things probably been called, so it's good to have you here. Jake, Kat and Zoe are still with us. Your favourite moment of the season so far, please.
Yeah, well, I've got two, so I'll go through the basic one. Everyone said it. Chelsea at home. It's all the odds were stacked against us. You know, these were the champions of England we were playing. This is the team, a star-studded team. Sam Kerr, Beth England, Jisoo Young, Gura Wrighton, Peniel Harder on the bench. Just so.
All right. Don't keep naming their 11. Come on, give our girls a bit of love now.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's the thing, though. It just sort of shows what we achieved on that day. We went behind this so-called world-class 11. We stayed in it. The game changer, Jackie Gronan, comes on. Brilliant run down the wing, sets up Leah Galton. And I think that sort of just sets the whole pace for our season. You know, Jackie and Leah playing well. So we got the points on that day. And yeah, I think that's why it's everyone's highlight. The odds were stacked against us. Couldn't even name a full bench, but we got a point.
Jake, you obviously realise that we weren't going to let the comments go without you being asked a couple of questions. So, for a start, Jonathan's very pleased to see you. Shane also then says, you're not just Mr. Southport, you're DJ Conti Cup. Marc wants to know, who are you going to vote for in Player of the Match? Every match. Fiona knows what her favourite moment of yours is so far. Shane then asks Marc, what does he think should happen with the free kick? Just saying. Jake, you became a bit of a fan of Jackie on the QT, didn't you, over the last few games?
Yeah. We've all said it, how she's sort of transformed this season. She's become the player that we were all expecting to burst onto the scene last season. But she has been, you know, our player of the season so far, if you ask me. And I don't think I'm alone in saying that. She has been amazing. She's been influential. You know, never tired, doesn't run out of energy, always first to balls. She is a different player from what we saw last season.
That was a good point. You've seamlessly helped me to segue into asking Kat and Zoe the same question. Kat, who would you say has been your tip as player of the season so far? I know we've got the polls going on, but who would you say? Because there are people that agree with Jake here, so... Yeah.
I'm torn. Jackie's been consistently good every match, definitely. I think Leah's also a good shout because I think, considering she's spent a good portion of the season playing as a fullback, and I think certainly in the first few matches of doing that, she wasn't necessarily bombing forward as much. I think that her stats, which I have forgotten at this point, but they're pretty good. When we look at them, she's one of the leading for assists and stuff. So I think she's having a great season as well. I can't argue against Jackie, but I think Leah's in with a shout for being in the conversation.
Okay. Zoe?
I'd agree with Jake. I'd say Jackie, but with an honourable mention to Tobin Heath as well, because I think she's been our, I think she's been our best signing, and I think she's really made an impact. I think with these players that have come in that have so much experience, it's not just the impact on the pitch, but like you say, in the dressing room and on the training ground. I think she must have been really influential from the moment she arrived. So, but I would say from the performances we've seen, I think Jackie just about gets there.
Namrata picks up on the point about Jackie, that when the whole media gangs up on you to deny you recognition, you've been the best player at United. She is constantly overlooked from Team of the Week's performance of the week, all of those kinds of things. Absolutely. Picking up on your point about Leah, she's also a great fullback. That's one we didn't see coming, so absolutely, Kat. Going back to Jackie, in very simple terms, she's been outstanding. Fiona asks a question: if she wins the polls, will she get a crown trophy? Queens wear crowns, don't they? Put that out there for you, Jake. Right, we're coming up to time for Kat. Thank you very much for coming in and joining us. I hope it's not been too traumatic. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to add before we ask you to take your leave and Iain comes and joins us?
Just look forward to seeing you all again, and keep believing, because second half FC, mate. Trust me.
Second half of the season FC.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kat, thank you very much for joining us. I'll let you take yourself out of this. Obviously, we all wish you all the very best for the new year, and hopefully we get to see each other properly again soon. Thanks very much, Kat.
See you. Bye.
And joining us, I've got this. Honestly, I'm so sorted. It's going to be really, really dull when we just go back to a normal podcast. It's just the same people that stay on the whole time. Iain, good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Full day work done. Been looking forward to this.
Good. Before we start with you, Iain, an issue that was raised with me yesterday, and thank you, Fiona. A couple of people said they didn't quite get the references. So, anybody who doesn't know, also Shane says it's a referee, boo. To anybody that doesn't know, the applesauce thing, okay?
Yeah.
You are a massive fan of applesauce. Shane and most normal people say, in the bin, okay? So that's really the deal, okay? So Namrata, now you get it. Basically, it's an excuse for us to have a go at Iain because he likes applesauce. That's it, isn't it, Iain?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. That was simple enough. We tidied that one up. Now, dead simple question as well. Favourite moment of the season so far?
This might surprise you, but I'm going to take you to the 19th of August.
Iain, whisk me away to what foreign land on the 19th of August travelling?
It's the day that Fiona dropped a certain thing in the comments. That is my moment of the season.
Do you know what? I was sorry. I'm just going to cut across you because I think Fiona alluded to it in the comments. I didn't manage to get round to it quickly enough. And she said that's her favourite Jake moment of the podcasts. Marc, I'm putting this out to you. I could just shout in that direction. If there is any way that we can have that screenshotted, Marc, that needs to go out. I don't know if we can. I don't know if there's a copyright issue or not. But when Fiona put that message on and Jake's face was...
Yeah. That was a moment for me. Obviously, when they eventually signed, I think it was, the 9th of September, I think it was all finally wrapped up.
I did that podcast that night because they announced them at like 3 and 5 o'clock. And we weren't sure because we knew Alessia Russo was due to be announced. So we didn't know whether her announcement was coming in at 7 o'clock. So we delayed the podcast slightly. And I still think actually that was one of our most watched live podcasts when they were properly announced. So yeah, I'm told I'm told that we own the copyright. It's our channel. So Marc, if you can, just so that people know, we have a clip of that moment when Fiona announced that Heath and Press were very strongly rumoured, and Jake just went, "Oh, sorry, Iain, go on."
But no, if I was to go to a game though, I'm with quite a few here. It's that Chelsea game. That's the atmosphere in that watch along, and shall we say the after fan cams that forgot to get edited out of fan cams was a highlight.
If anybody hasn't seen it,
Go watch it.
go and watch the end of the Chelsea fan cams. And I apologise now, but you might want to watch it without children being in the room. You may want to watch it after the watershed, and you may want to question why it wasn't edited. Actually, thank you, Iain. You've come up with some interesting. Where is it? It's going to be on our YouTube channel. So, yeah, I mean, it really was brilliant, and it was, yeah. I used my favourite word. Fiona says that was her favourite Deb moments of the season. Yeah. And that's why, when I said before, I don't think I've celebrated as much as that Chelsea goal. There you go. It's on our YouTube channel. It will be the fan cams, the post-match thoughts from the Chelsea game. Don't think about sitting through it. I mean, obviously you can do. You're welcome to. But, yeah, just towards the end. After I've said, thanks very much, everybody. Cheerio. Watch that bit. Zoe, before we have our last change of the evening, our last game changer, our last substitution, anything you want to add before we ask you to take your leave?
Just thank you for letting me be a part of it. I think the Barmy Army have built a really lovely community, which has been really needed over lockdown and not being able to see games in person. So yeah, thank you for all you've done. And I'll leave Iain with a question of who's been the ref of the season?
Oh, it's no one.
Oh,
on that one, Zoe. Iain, can you actually name anybody?
Best referee of the season, the WSL? No.
There isn't one.
No, and John Moss last night in the Blue United game. Oh.
So in answer to your question, Zoe, there isn't one.
There isn't one. They're all on the list.
Zoe, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for being part of our podcast. Hopefully we can, Shane thinks basically you've done the ultimate mic drop there. So, yeah, I love that. So, yeah, so. So thank you very much. I'll let you take yourself out so that we can bring the last game changer in. And thank you very much. All the best for the new year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thanks. Take care. And Chloe, I've done it. Honestly, everyone in and out. I'm ecstatic. Honestly, you can say what you want now, Zoe. Chloe, sorry, even though I get your name wrong. How are you doing for a start?
I'm good. I'm impressed how smooth it's gone. Yeah.
You're impressed, honestly. I'm staggered. Dead simple question. Favorite moment of the season so far? I'm
gonna switch it up from the obvious City, Arsenal. I'm gonna say Reading. And I'm gonna say Reading because we always seem to have a battle with them, and it never goes in our favour. Never. And it was looking like it was going to be the same this season. They scored a dodgy goal to equalise. But I think it's just shown our mentality switch this year. Is that, and I think I was looking at, we've scored over 8 goals through 80 minutes onwards. And that's a credit to the squad, to Casey and to the players that some of it has switched over the summer with our mentality, and that proved in the Reading game when the silent assassin of Hayley Ladd popped up freely in the box to put us and to get them 3 points that we've been waiting for against Reading. I think last season we performed better and deserved the win. But this season we didn't perform as well against them, but we got the win. And I think that's been a theme for us in games this season. We've won ugly at times, which is a big thing for United. And us have followed United a long time. We know that winning ugly is what you need to do sometimes to challenge for the title. So yeah, I think Reading showed that.
Yeah, Shane picks up and says it links to what I was saying at the beginning in terms of the big three, but also we've exercised a few demons. Reading away was one of them, because actually the last two games we've had against them have been absolute heartbreakers. So actually really, really, Zoe's saying that's a great choice. Obviously, Stato has to point out that that wasn't the only 83rd minute winner. Yeah, cheers for that, Shane. Marcy says, able to overcome horrible tackling. We know the way Reading play. We know it's a physical game. It's gone off my screen, but Eldon says their best moment was Honour signing. Absolutely. Going back to the Reading game, great game management. That mentality, and cheers, Shane. Yeah, absolutely, really good point. And I think that's one that we haven't necessarily given the full focus to. And Kat, thank you. You've kind of given me an in there. We've collectively proven tonight that there have been a number of great moments. And I'm going to throw one in because I've not said mine, because I'm going for a single moment. Now, obviously, the Chelsea game we've talked about. But for me, Tobin's first goal last week against Bristol, because what that showed was that's the level we're now at. This is us in dreamland for me, that we have got somebody of her talent, her ability, just plays that in, scores an incredible goal, and we'll just go, yeah, great. As if some people were saying that wasn't even the best goal we scored last week. That's how far we've come. As if Leah's goal was the better goal 2 weeks ago. Last week, I've lost all track of time. Everything's going all over the place. But yeah, tonight has really proven that we've had some great moments. Chloe, I asked before, so far, player of the season for you, who would you go with?
I'm going to have to, I don't know, I mentioned Jackie last time on my podcast, but I'm going to switch it back to Leah.
Okay.
I think she's gone from left back to gone from left wing, and she gives us something. If them games aren't going our way, that she could change it in the flick of the switch, and she's proven recently with them, the world-class goals that set us on our way versus Bristol, I think, because it was a scrappy game to begin with. That, we had the possession, but something just wasn't going right. We were trying to force it into the net, I think, and at the end of the day, I think she just went, do you know what, I'm going to go for it, and that set us on our way. I think Jackie's up there for a runner. She's totally different person to the last season. She's the person we wanted to believe in, that we signed, but it's taken her a while to see that. But we've got that now, and she just needs to keep that consistency going.
Yeah, definitely. Shane welcomes you, Chloe, to the headset crew. I think you're on McFlurry duty today. Iain, I didn't ask you before who your player of the season so far.
Leah.
Yeah, that's simple for you. Okay. Apparently, we need to be in charge of the FA player, because the camera and the folks have been horrible. Which was it West Ham, where you couldn't see the ball?
Yes.
Really awful.
I'm in charge of referee.
Namrata's volunteering me to hold a session for the FA and how to stream stuff properly. Quite frankly, I think I could do that in my sleep, but yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Whole team's gone up a level since Chelsea with the intensity they're playing with. I think it's the belief, and I think you realise what that gave the team, the importance of that game. Whether we can hypothesize and we can imagine what would have happened. Shane was saying Villa couldn't see the subs coming on. had we not got anything out of that Chelsea game, would we be in the position we are? We can do that all night. We can hypothesize that the referee might have finished the game a minute earlier last night, and the men would have drawn. That didn't happen. We got a point from Chelsea. The men got a point, got 3 points last night. That's the way it is, and it set us up for a great second half of the season. Yeah, we're also doing other lessons, just in case anybody is wondering. Shane's going to give them a lesson on stats. Iain's going to teach the refs. Okay, so going back about Jackie, she was good last season. Different level this season. Team performance has gone up too. Wow, we're over an hour. I could, and I would love dearly to carry on all night, because I feel like as much as it's been great to get people in, I would have loved to have actually gone into depth on some of these points. But unfortunately, that is us done for the evening. Jake, you still sticking with Jackie as your player of the season so far? You mentioned before.
Yeah,
you've not been swayed.
Yeah. Leah's giving some good competition, so we'll see what happens in the second half of the season. But yeah, just about Jackie's clinching it for me still.
Okay. Suggestion that we might need Bunny Shaw to replace Jane Ross. Just saying. Jake.
Oh,
okay. That's for another time. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's joined me on screen tonight. I want to say a massive thank you as well to Marc for helping me with the tech. I can't claim full credit for it. Thank you very much. You can have half of my pay rise of double. And also a massive thank you to everybody in the comments. Forgive me, I can't remember exactly who said it, but I think Marc might have said it, Shane might have said it. The podcasts need the people in the comments. We need people on the screen, but we also need people on the comments. And I know there was one podcast where Marc didn't have comments, and it is difficult, and it is quite uncomfortable to get that conversation going. So I think, yeah, we need those comments. We really appreciate those comments. And as I said at the beginning as well, these are for you as our members, as the fans, and we just want to be able to be there for you guys at the moment through what is a very, very difficult time. Fingers crossed, 2021 might go a little bit better, and we certainly will get to games. Chloe, Iain, Jake, as my last little group, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you to everybody out there. All that really remains is for me to wish you all the very, very best and a very happy new year. Let it be healthy, let it be safe, let's all be well, and let's all be at a game again sometime soon, because I don't know about you, but that's what I'm craving at the moment. Thank you very much to everybody. Take care, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks. Good night.
Good night.